Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa astaghfirullah, salatu wa salam ala rasulullahi ajma'een. In response to this, Akhi, Yani, you really need to really consider your sources, because the things that you're saying would definitely, we know that it doesn't come from the Quran and the Sunnah as far as regards to smacking a person, and your takfir, you're making a person disbeliever based upon sin, and we're going to reach that, mashallah. Also, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that any sitting or any gathering, which this will be considered a sitting or a gathering, because you're using it as a vehicle to reach people who will gather around your video likewise or whatever, that these sitting or gatherings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger's name is not mentioned is a cursed one. We find that unfortunately that the internet has given everyone the ability to speak out and to have a forum, but when we're speaking about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it should be it should have some kind of dignity to it. Also, it should be something that's comprised upon knowledge, that we know that there's not an act or a deed or anything done except knowledge precedes it. We find in the book of Thalathatul Usul, that's written by our beloved Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. In it, he has a section called Ilmu Qabla wa Qawlihi wal Amal, that knowledge precedes action. And his proof in it, which we take from Muhammad from Sahih Bukhari, that in the chapter heading of that statement, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَعَلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّهُ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ. He said, no, K-N-O-W, that there's nothing worthy of worship except Allah, and then seek a way of forgiveness. So knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, precedes the action of asking for forgiveness. And likewise it goes to salat and fasting and such and so forth, that one cannot do an act except that it has a certain ingredients, that it has ikhlas, that the person knows of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he knows that he's separated from shirk, and that it has the sunnah. And all of these things require knowledge, before one proceeds. But to continue, you made some statements regarding smacking a person. See if we can find it. Well, what even do with this issue of sleeping?
What I'm referring to is, let the kafirs go. If you're a Muslim, you're supposed to be the example. You're supposed to be setting the stage as to the way we're supposed to be living. You're supposed
I have no problem with that. We know that the Muslim should be the opposite of the kuffar in his dress, in his mannerisms, in his speech. The best way to imply that is the Messenger of Allah, he said, whoever imitates a people, he's from them. So if the person should understand that, in the imitation of their dress, their speech, and such and so forth, their hairstyles or whatever, that they're saying that the culture of the kuffar, the society, is better than that of Islam. I have no problem with that, none at all. But to speed up and see if we can find.
No, I'm not an imam.
This is an issue.
That's an abomination.
That I wanted to deal with.
The bottom of your drawers and showing yourself and acting lewd in public. That's the acts of others. It's not the acts of Muslims. Muslims don't act like.
Not that, but we're almost to it.
I'm seeing pictures here on Facebook with Muslims that come from good families posing in pictures with homosexuals. Something wrong.
We can stop right there. Yani, if there is no purpose of one having a picture in itself, if there's no benefit to it, and if there's not a position or an advantage that a person, or a disadvantage that he's going to be with having to have a picture, like a driver's license or an ID or something, or a passport, we know in general that the photograph, the picture, whether it's painted with the hand, whether it's chiseled with a chisel, whether it's any of this, is tasweer. It's tasweer. That having a picture in itself is haram. Taking a picture without any kind of benefits, haram. We know this. Some of us are more guilty of it than others. But it's haram in general. If it has no kind of benefit, no purpose, haram. So it's just dealing with that issue in itself. But saying that a person, if you're taking a picture with a homosexual, astaghfirullah, this is a major situation right here, because this statement that follows,
something's wrong with that. You know that that's wrong. That's an abomination. It's like that. In my eyes, that nullifies your Islam. No, I am not an imam. No, I am not a scholar. But truth be told, your brother Jihad is quick to smack a faggot. Alright?
Akhi, you said really clearly, you're not an imam, you're not a scholar. This in itself just exclaims the fact that you're ignorant of the religion. You can't say in your eyes, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has hakama, who's organized this religion that we say we all believe, and He has placed a level of kufr that takes a person outside of Islam. And you should, inshallah ta'ala, if you ever get the ability to find the book or any writings on the Waqid al-Islamiyya by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, that those are the things that he speaks about that nullifies one's Islam. At best, the person is a sinner who's a homosexual, and the person who companions him, companions this homosexual, takes a picture with the homosexual. It doesn't, at the most, he has bad companionship, and he may be upon the middle of that person's companionship in his actions, but it doesn't make him a kafir by any means. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam had said that the person who makes takfir, calls a Muslim a kafir, and if this statement is not true, that the statement goes to the heavens, and it goes through the heavens, and it comes back down upon the one who made the false statement, that verily, truly, one of those two people are kafirs. One of them is a kafir. And we find that this takfir, this kind of belief, that this came from the Khawarij. This taking the sins of the people and excluding them outside of Islam, which is a heinous, evil sin. Okay, it's clearly, when you say you're not a scholar, you're an imam, that's clear to see, because this is not permissible in Islam to make takfir, especially a person who's not qualified. And we can visit those issues later, inshallah ta'ala.
Smack a faggot. Alright? And
now, smacking it upon the face, it is even in jihad, the name that you carry upon yourself, jihad, is even in the acts of jihad, that the Muslims will avoid the face of the enemy. They will avoid the face. So much so that a man, and we'll find the hadiths, I'll put them together for you, inshallah ta'ala. But I want to, inshallah, if you even have the ability to not only clear the matter up, but remove the video in itself, because smacking the face of even an animal is haram in Islam. The face is something sacred. It's so sacred. The reason why making sujood to Allah, placing the face upon the ground, is the out of the most extreme ideas of worship, is because the face in itself is sacred. The face is sacred, Aki. Now, if you can't even hit an animal in the face or strike the face in jihad, you're supposed to avoid the face, right? How is it that you think that you can just walk around smacking people in the face, okay, because of these sins? Subhanallah, okay. This is far away from Islam. As you say, we set the trend. We set the trend of what Muslims do. This is something that's not from Islam. Okay? This is from kufr. This is from our jahil nigger tactics that we knew from the past. Huh? You don't do that. Rather, what we should do is learn the religion, call the people to Tawheed, and explain to them and let them know, once they understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wahid, that He's one, and they should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the best of their abilities and fight off those evil suggestions from shaitan. We deal with those matters like that, okay? We don't go about smacking the face of people. We don't do that.
If I find that you're in my circle and I find out that you're a faggot, yes, I will smack you. I hate to say it and put it to those terms, but y'all not hearing what I'm saying. And it's like I shouldn't even be seeing this nonsense not on my page at all. You know.
And there were times and there were things that were sexual nature that the Messenger of Allah, when he dealt with it, and in Dar Kufr, in the lands of the non-Muslims, we cannot impose the Sharia upon people with hudud. There's no hudud here. If you want to practice the hudud, inshallah ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you and all of us to live in the lands of the Muslims, but you cannot impose the hudud on people here. You just can't do it. You're not in Dar Salam. And again, we're reverting back to the issue of you not having education in the religion, and you taking about things upon yourself which you have no knowledge on. The knowledge precedes actions. You can't do this kind of stuff out. And people shouldn't be happy that you're saying these things. They shouldn't be happy with it. Rather, the thing that I was happy with was the issue of you correcting the people about their dress code, and correcting, or implying to your family that you're not going to sit with them in their acts of shirk and kufr. But the smacking about people, using offensive names, like, this is not a way of dawah. It's not. The Messenger of Allah was a person of mild language, and he was straight to the point, and he wasn't disrespectful and corruptive to the people. This is Islam. This is Deen and Islam. Okay? We don't do that. So I beg and implore you to either straighten the affair out regarding smacking people in the face, understanding that tasweer in itself is sinful, and that the major issue, the most important issue about all of this is you saying that in your eyes that person is not Muslim. When you say that a person who's Muslim, who accepted Islam, or who was born upon the millah of Islam, who prays to our Qibla, who fasts the fast that we have, and who eats our meat, as the Messenger of Allah would say, that this person is still Muslim, and they have rights. Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhal nas uttaqu rabbakum ladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida wa khalaqahu minha zawjahum. That in this ayat, he says, O mankind, fear your Lord who created you out of one soul, and out of that soul his mate, and fear Allah who you demand your mutual rights. We all have mutual rights that are set forth between us, even with us and the kuffar. Us and the animals and the insects and everything in creation has its right, and you can't violate that right, Aki. You're no one to violate that right. And to say that a person, because of a sin, is not Muslim, Aki, you're saying that this person, his blood is halal. That's permissible to kill this person. It's Muslim. It's permissible to kill him. That it's permissible for us to remove his wife and his family from him. You're saying that this is what it is, and that we can take his property, Aki. You're saying that this person has violated all of Islam, regardless of what he believes in, because of this one sinful act. I don't see you, walking the streets. Would you be smacking the Muslims who smoke marijuana, the women who don't cover correctly, the brothers who don't grow their beards, the people who lie, the people who steal, the Muslims who sell cigarettes, the Muslims who drink, the people who work in banks, you know, the